Hi, I'm Josh Bell with the Miami Marlins. I wear NeuroGuard to help with strength and coordination when I'm in the weight room and help with balance when I'm on the baseball field.
One of the most comfortable, reduces concussion, increases performance. You can't get a mouthpiece like that on the market.
Not only is it a great product, it's super easy to use. I recommend it for any player at any age at any level. Thank you guys so much, and go check out NeuroGuard Plus.
NeuroGuard mouthpiece makes it easier to breathe while playing basketball. The unique design is not as bulky as any other mouthpiece and makes you feel safe in concussions.
NeuroGuard. They control my breathing while I'm writing. It stops me getting concussions while I wreck. It's very easy to use, so go pick one up today.
I'm still doing stunts. In the concussions I've got, I feel much safer with that. I'm doing, like I said, I'm doing a whole lot better in the gym. So NeuroGuard Plus, once this one wears out, you've got a customer for life, because I'm telling you people, NeuroGuard Plus is the way to go, and me, Mark Ash, says so.
Parents, kids, coaches, NeuroGuard. It's the future. Stay tuned.
Brown right, motion, tailback slant. Let's put the women and children to bed and go looking for dinner, all right? On one, ready? Go 13! Coming up, go 13!
The 3A world was rocked with a transfer. We have maybe the class that has the biggest, dynasties going right now, and we're here to talk all about that. Hello, everybody. Terry Bennett, Grant Goodwin here, Sideline to Sideline, the 3A Big Arse Preview Show for 2024, brought to you by NeuroGuard Plus Mouth Guard. You saw their commercial. We'll be having some more information about them. But yeah, 3A, it's if there's one class that is both sides, it's the same teams. I think 3A this year. I mean, it's Malakoff, it's Franklin, it's Gunner, it's Newton, it's Canadian, it's Columbus. Nobody at the top is truly surprising.
Right.
And so it's going to be interesting to see if maybe we have some surprises. If this is the first time you've listened to the Big Arse Preview Show, first off, we're still in the new studio, so we're still figuring out the sound. So if you hear a little bit of echo or things like that, we will get it fixed as the season goes along. But what we do here is we don't just talk about the Malakoffs and the Gunters and the Franklins. We also talk about the Winsboroughs, the Pottsboroughs, the Jeffersons. We talk all the districts because this is the Big Arse Preview Show, and that's what we do here. And it's called the Big Arse Preview Show because we used to always try to be nice. We don't have to be nice on Patreon anymore. Check out our Patreon. It's right there on the screen. All you got to do is throw the phone up, get the QR code. If you don't do that and you still want to go, just simply go to patreon.com/@L4 Media Company. Or let me make sure. I think it's just /L4 Media. Yeah, /L4 Media Company. $2.99 a month to join. You get a 7-day trial. We'll have outtakes from our show, Sideline to Sideline. We'll have special Sideline to Sideline shows. We have special Outdrink to Coverage shows. And that'll all go on the – and don't worry, Sideline to Sideline is always going to be free. We're not putting that behind the Patreon wall. This is just for us to do other stuff that people that are hardcore fans might want to listen to. We'll have special coaches interviews. I've been thinking about doing a like legends of the past, talking to, greats that played, since we've covered, even go beyond that, like an Antoine Jimerson, or even go higher up to, some famous people like a Case Keenum. I've been in talks with his people to maybe do an interview with us to talk one of my favorite games I ever called was them Iberline Wiley, the jump that he made that was so famous. Anyway, that'll all be behind the Patreon wall. So check out our Patreon. You can also find us on Facebook. Just go to Sideline to Sideline. On Twitter at Grant and Terry. You can also email us, Grant and Terry at s2ssport.com. You ready to start?
I am ready to start the 3A Big Arse Preview Show.
The 3A Big Arse Preview Show.
Aren't you so excited for football season to start?
Yeah, it's funny because this is the earliest we've done this show. We usually do this in the middle of August or like the first couple weeks of August.
Still 2 days right around the corner.
And I think this is actually making me more excited now because we're doing this. We're on our second show today. We've recorded the 4A one. And just getting into the talk and getting into the, not just talking dark horses. And I love doing that, but the names and this kid and that kid, I'm ready. I'm getting ready for football. And, obviously it's getting ready for football outside because next week it's supposed to be like 132 degrees. But it is nice today. Wow. 132, not 133. That would be deadly. But it is nice here today in the studio.
It is kind of cold in the studio,
which is always what we want. All right, so let's start. And we start at the first one. And boy, just like in 4A, I think it was Division 2. We start off with a humdinger of a district. Yeah. District 1, 3A Division 1. Of course, that's Bushland. That's Shallow Water. And don't forget a Dalhart. And we might forget River Road. This is one of those that I think the second place team is going to be really, really good, but I don't think they're within 3 touchdowns of the first place team.
Yeah, but I this district really solidifies the strength of the Panhandle this year.
I agree.
Right?
100%.
I think the Panhandle in the lower classifications, they even need it in the higher classifications. It's kind of been, well, especially in the higher classifications, it's kind of been a no man's land lately in football. And outside of your Dumases and your Canadians and all that, it hadn't, Bushland's come on as of late, but now you got Bushland and Shallow Water in the same district. And I think a Dalhart can be really good. I think the Panhandle area in Class 3A really needed this district, and man, they got it. This will be a good district. I've got Bushland winning this district. I know, Jaco is gone now, right?
Yeah.
But that defense for Bushland should be pretty special this year. Very physical. They were pretty darn good last year. They're going to be that much better this year. So I think this is just going to be a great district. I got Bushland number 1, Shallow Water 2, Dalhart, and then River Road, I guess.
Yeah. Dalhart last year went 8-4, and they return a good chunk of that.
Yeah.
Kyler Reed at quarterback. They have a really good running back, a wide receiver in Colton Kaneskis. I mean, this is one of those teams. It wouldn't shock me if they upset Shallow Water for that second spot. I think Shallow Water, everybody's back on offense. Defense, they were solid last year, but it seems like the last few years when they play a good physical team defensively, Shallow Water has struggled.
Yeah.
And struggle for them. I don't mean they've been terrible. I don't want to say they've been pushed around, but you've seen teams mash on them.
Right.
And so I think that's still an issue. All right, let's go to District 2, 3A Division 1. Denver City, Brownfield, La Mesa, and Kermit. Another district that's, just 4 gets in. I like the fact that the 2 4s, they play each other in the first round. And by the way, I'm pretty sure, just being honest, I think 3A Division 1 will enjoy the bi-district round with this one. I like 2 3A. I mean, it's fun, but it's not a lot of.
So I've got power. Denver City 1 and La Mesa 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think between 1 and 3 there's like a huge gap.
I don't think so.
And I think you're right. I think the Bushlands and Shallow Waters, at least, I hate to say, will feast on District 2, but they might.
Yeah,
right?
they might. I think they will. I mean, River Road and Kermit, both of them are fodder for the first place teams. But after that, and I'm not saying River Road would beat Denver City, but I think they would play them closer than Denver City would play Bushland.
Yeah, I think so too.
But we got to pick it. So I like yours. You got Denver City, Brownfield, La Mesa, and Kermit. I've got Denver City, La Mesa, Brownfield, and Kermit.
All right. District 3.
Ooh.
Yeah, what a juicy district. I know the consensus is Sweetwater, and you're really high on Sweetwater.
I'm very
this
high
year.
on Sweetwater.
And rightfully so. I'm high on Sweetwater, but I don't want people to overlook the Jim Net Indians, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
people want to because
Gray Beasley's coming back. Gray Beasley
tore his ACL last year.
Yeah,
I think that's what it was.
Yeah, it's kind of like a fluke play.
Yeah,
on the sideline, I think it got hung up with either the down marker or the chain, somewhere in the chains.
Yeah,
and so Gray Beasley was a lot on that offense, and their defense, Jim Ned's defense, should be really good this year.
Yeah, I agree.
I think Sweetwater wins this district, but I think Jim Ned will be right on their heels. And if Sweetwater does not bring their A game on that night, Jim Ned could take this district championship. But I've got it: Sweetwater, Jim Ned, Comanche, then Clyde.
I mean, this is one of those that I very well could see the team that wins district loses to the second place team in the playoffs. I have it Sweetwater, I have it Jim Ned, I have Comanche, I have Clyde, and that fourth spot, Breckenridge, they're kind of where they've been really solid teams, but they can't stay healthy.
Right.
And if they could stay healthy, I think they could not easily, but I think they could come up and snatch that fourth spot. But I'm very curious about Comanche. Last year, Coach Escobar and them talked about they needed to be more physical, and they started out like gangbusters, but then they had injuries, and then they lost a couple games in district. Millsap upset them, and the shine kind of got, that they lost that shine, but they still got some guys coming back. They're still going to be physical. I don't know where they're going to fit in this district past 3. I think they're firmly at 3, but again, in the playoffs, the right matchup, and we could see them having a nice little run. All right, let's go to 4-3A Division 1. And this is another one that, at least name-wise has some interesting players. Vernon, I think, is going to be a lot better than what people think, but I don't think they're good enough to beat Paradise. I never thought there'd be a day where we would have Paradise with 8 returning starters and we feel strong about them, but give Coach Koch credit. He has built the Panthers up to a legitimate – they're not a 1-year or 2-year wonder. I think as long as he's there, Paradise is in play.
Oh, yeah. I think Paradise could be a region favorite, but I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that just Paradise is going to rush out over Vernon and just win this district outright. I think Vernon could very well have something to say about this district. I do have Paradise winning, but I would not be shocked to see the Vernon Lions rounding back into old form, right?
13 returning starters, that slot T with that athleticism out in that region.
Yeah, 3 lost team last year. I mean, 8 or 9 wins. I think they can give Paradise a run for their money. I think it is Paradise, Vernon, then probably Iowa Park, Peaster, maybe.
Iowa Park, it just seems like for the last 5 years, they always underperform for their record to their talent.
Yeah.
And you just, if it ever catches right, they could, they're the type of team that could immediately 5 games in, you go, oh crap, this is different. But until they prove it, I don't think that, I've got Iowa Park. And then I'm going to go Ponder. Marcus Schultz, this is year 2. They started out really good last year, but I can't remember who it was. Somebody upset them in district, and that kind of threw them off. But they returned 14. Their quarterback, who's a sophomore, Tyson Price, Noah Long. They lose that prolific wide receiver. I can't think of his name right now. And they're not going to score as much, but that's not what Marcus Schultz does. What he does is he plays sound offense and their defense.
Yeah.
And they improve their defense by the biggest statistical points per game than anybody else in the state of Texas in any class last year.
Oh, wow.
I mean, as exciting as Ponder's offenses was for 2 or 3 years, their defense was terrible.
Yeah.
He got their defense to be solid. Now, if they can stay healthy on offense, that's why I have them as I guess, surprise playoff team.
You talked me into that one.
Thank you, sir. All right, let's go to 5-3A, and this is going to be a fun one because you've got Grandview, you've got Whitney, you've got West. It blows my mind to see West as a 3rd place, pick by most people.
Right.
Oh, then you've still got teams like we always say at Mahia, they're always going to have the talent. If they could ever figure it out, the fact that their coach has been there now for a couple of years is actually that's sad to say, but that's a plus for them.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I still have Grandview, Whitney, West, and then I think everybody else. I'm going to go, you know what? I'll give Mahia that chance for that fourth one. I think they're going to surprise some people and get that fourth place. But
all right. Well, I've got it. Grandview winning the district.
Yes.
I've got West
I
second.
have no problem with that.
And then Whitney third.
I have no
I think
problem
a lot of
with
people
that.
are high on Whitney, and rightfully so. I am high on Whitney.
But West
Whitney
returns
this
everybody.
year. But I think West, their physicality, they just
Now, remember, they're throwing it a little bit more this year, but they
that
still
doesn't mean
can.
you're not physical.
Yeah,
right?
that's exactly. I was about to say.
49ers threw it a lot last year. And wouldn't you say they were physical?
Not at all. No,
I mean,
but no, you're right. And I think
yeah.
people forget that. You know, they're throwing that. No, that doesn't mean anything anymore. This
right. Yeah.
The word spread is not the same as it was in 2003.
Right.
Like there are so many teams. We're just talking about Laga Vista in the 4A show. They run the spread. They also run option out of the spread.
Right.
They're also pulling their guards and mowing the road, as they used to say. So yeah, they're still physical. You know what? I agree with you. Flip Whitney and West for me. I don't know why I thought West lost a lot more. They literally returning like 4 of their offensive linemen, and a team like West, that's their bread and butter.
Yeah. Man, they love that. All right. District 6, 3A Division 2. I got it. Pottsboro 1, Whitesboro 2nd, and then, man, 3rd and 4th. I don't know. Madison, Palmer.
Sure. You know what? Okay. I'm going to say Chad Worrell shocks the world and grabs the 4th playoff spot just because we're doing a Pilot Point show. And also, I mean, if to say this, if the Pilot Point program listens and if they connect early with Worrell in this district, 4th should be there. They should beat A+ and Life Oak Cliff, and it goes down between them, Palmer, and Madison. Yeah. I trust Pilot Point to win one of those games. And by the way, I hope they're truly back. That was the last 2 years have just been bizarro world in Pilot Point.
Yeah, yeah. You know what? I like Pilot Point.
And by the way,
I mean, coaching means a lot.
Exactly.
And I think Pilot Point's got among the best coaching staff in this district. So yeah, why not Pilot Point making the playoffs?
And this is a very sneaky, really good district. I mean, I have Whitesboro beating Pottsboro in district.
Do you?
Yeah, I feel like Cody Fagan is actually building something. I know they went 6-6 last year, but go look at who they played and the district they were in. And by the way, it's good to see Pottsboro back. They took a little bit of a step back for them for a couple years. Last year, they kind of surprised everybody. I know they're happy to be back in their side of the world. They're not over into East Texas. I think the difference between Whitesboro and Pottsboro is a pick 'em.
Yeah, it could be. Could be.
All right, let's go to 7, 3A, where Commerce will roll like no other. No, Commerce will make the playoffs, I think. You've got Malakoff, you've got Winsboro, and then everybody else. And in Winsboro, I think will prove to be more than just it was a special class, but they do have to prove it this year.
Right. Yes.
Losing their most prolific quarterback they've ever had and things like that. That hurts.
Yeah. Yeah. So obviously we both think that Malakoff's going to win this district.
Oh yeah. The Malakoff. They're going to win the district by a lot.
Dude, Mike Jones just alone.
Look,
much less.
Winsboro could end up
everybody else coming back.
Yeah. Winsboro could end up going 3 rounds and they're going to get beat by Malakoff by 3 touchdowns in district and maybe even in the playoffs. And that's not a knock on Winsboro. I think Winsboro is really good. I think Malakoff is where Franklin was when Franklin finally broke through and won that state title. It changes. Once you get the ring, all those close losses become close wins. And I know that sounds like, movie BS, but how many times have we seen it? We talked about it last week. These teams, they'll be down 21 points in the 4th quarter, and all of a sudden it's the longest 4th quarter ever, and they're able to find 5 touchdowns out of nowhere. That's what great teams do. And I think once you win that ring, I think it can change for those classes. And I think Malakoff is there.
Yeah,
I think they're about
Malakoff
to make a special
head and
run.
Shoulders right now over
and I said
a
this,
lot of 3A Division 2.
Well,
Not all of it.
Yeah, I said this when we were talking off the air when we were getting our notes together. Mike Jones has a little bit of that Jack Dallas in him from West Orange Star. If you need 5, he gets you 6. If you need a 45-second, 80-yard drive, he'll figure it out. And just amazing.
So then, I got Malakoff, Winsboro, Mount Vernon, then Commerce.
Okay, I have it Malakoff, Winsboro, Mount Vernon, and Commerce. But I think Mineola's still around as far as a playoff team. I think past that. I mean, they do return a ton offensively, but it's felt like offensively they've been stale the last few years. Even when they were healthy, they kind of rely on 1 or 2 guys and don't spread the ball out enough. So we got to see if they're going to do that. Now, here's a district that I think is going to be very interesting because I think a couple teams could shock shock the state in this district. That, of course, is 8-3A. You've got Jefferson, Atlanta, Liberty Isle, Tatum, Gladewater, Sabine, and White Oak. White Oak, they're the one that they're struggling. Coach Mike Ledlow, he's trying to rebuild a program. They went 0-10 last year because they played nothing but basically sophomores. I know a lot of their fans were mad, but I mean, if you hire a guy to rebuild, you got to let him rebuild.
Yeah.
And rebuilding, and this is nothing against seniors, and it's tough. You're seniors, I know, but you don't rebuild with seniors. You've got to let the sophomores get the lump. So by the time they're seniors, you got a physical, mature team. But everybody else in this district, they could beat each other in any given week.
Yeah. Yeah. I right now, I think Jefferson is the glaring favorite to me. Outside of that, I think Liberty Isle could push them. I think it ends up being Jefferson, Liberty Isle, Atlanta third, and then Tatum fourth.
I have Jefferson, Tatum, Liberty Isle, and Atlanta.
You think Tatum's better than Ellie and Atlanta?
I think just as of right now, and it's not fair to see that, but I just feel that right now, Whitney Keeling is in year 3 of this process. Yeah. And then I think Brad Willard's in year 1.5. And I think Liberty Isle is going to be good. I just think that, I think Whitney, I know that they lost some coaches and stuff, moved on, not like in a bad way, but they moved to different jobs. But man, Tatum returns 14. And I think if I guess maybe it's if it doesn't happen now, Matt, I think I said that last week. If it doesn't happen now for Tatum, maybe it doesn't.
Got to replace a really good quarterback. That was a lot of that offense.
But I think sometimes, again, you start using the Cole Watsons to bail you out of everything, and then now you're forced to diversify the offense, and sometimes that actually helps the team.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. But this is going to be a fun district. Because I'm not kidding. I could see a Gladewater upsetting because even Jefferson and Liberty Isle and Tatum, we feel that especially Jefferson and Liberty Isle, we feel like they could do special things in Atlanta, but there's no trust on that they can go into Gladewater and beat Gladewater on a random week 3 of district. So it'll be fun to see. All right, let's go to another fun one. That's 9-3A Division 1. You've got Teague, you've got Diboll, Westwood, Fairfield, Crockett, and Huntington. And by the way, all jokes on Huntington, fun to see Westwood kind of back around, not only made the playoffs, but won a playoff game. I think won 2 playoff games. And so it's fun to say that they're going to be a playoff team, but I still have Teague ahead of them. I have it Teague, I have it Westwood, I have it Diboll, and then I have it Fairfield.
I've got it Teague. I think Teague and Diboll are the big 2 here, with Teague being the glaring favorite in this district. I like it Teague, Diboll second, Westwood third, and oh man, I'd love to see Crockett come in.
I would too, especially
fourth, but I don't know. It's coming down to that last playoff spot, Crockett and Fairfield, I think. And I think Fairfield might just have a little bit too much on them.
Crockett returned 17, but it's from a 1-9 team. How many of those 17 do you really want? We always talk about that. For me, the reason I have Westwood over Diboll is simply because Diboll is going to be extremely young defensively, and you trust in Coach Morrison. He's a defensive guy. But their offense, even though they returned 7, their offense gets them into trouble a lot sometimes. They kind of go, stagnant at the wrong times, and that defense is young. It might not be there to carry them early in district. I think by the end of the district, they'll have figured that out. And by the way, next year, they're going to return a ton on defense, so watch out for them. Anyway, 10-3A Division 1. I've got Anahuac. I've got East Chambers, and then I'm struggling between 3 to 5. I've kind of got like Orangefield, Cold Spring, and Kirbyville. I think I'm going to go Cold Spring and Orangefield. That's my 4 playoff teams.
I'm going to Anahuac 1, East Chambers 2, Cold Spring 3, and Orangefield 4. So basically the same as you had. Really.
Cold Spring a couple years ago, we thought they were back, and they were fine last year, but they didn't take that next step, and that's we always talk about the steps. The hardest 2 steps are the first one to get back to being a consistent playoff team, and then it's to break through and finally win that, that region. And those are, to me, the 2 hardest steps, and they're right there at the beginning of the first one. All right, 11-3A Division 1. Ooh. You got Franklin, Little River Academy, Cameron, Troy, McGregor, and Rockdale. There literally is not a terrible team in this bunch.
No, there's not.
I mean, there is every team. Now, some are better than others, but every team has we can make the playoffs if things go our way attitude, in my opinion. But in saying that, I've got
Franklin.
I'm going to go Franklin, but I still think Little River Academy tests
Franklin's
them.
got just remember, in Jaden Jackson,
Oh, I know.
Franklin
Oh, I
has
know.
the best all-around football player
He's
probably in
such a
3A
beast,
Division
dude.
One.
He is so fun to watch.
Yeah, he is. So I mean, it's Franklin, and the offensive line.
Yep.
Defense should be pretty physical. I know they have a lot to return, but I think they'll be pretty salty.
Franklin just needs to clean up the ball. Last year, too many turnovers, too many penalties.
Yeah.
Turnovers are going to happen with their style of football, but the penalties, even, Fannin, we had the Fannin show. I'm pretty sure we're going to have a Fannin show this year. Every week it was the penalty, and that finally caught up to them.
Yeah.
They had a couple key ones against Malakoff, but yeah, I'm not saying Franklin's taking a step down. I just think Little River Academy has reached the status of a program where they rebuild. They don't they reload. They don't rebuild.
That yet. I mean, they have in the last 3 years.
That's what I'm saying. This is the first year because they only returned 4.
Yeah.
On offense, they returned 6 on defense. I'm saying this is the year that they prove that they are
that they can prove
they can reload and they don't have to completely rebuild.
I do think they do get the second spot in this district. I think it is Franklin Academy, then Cameron, and then Troy, I guess.
I had Troy, then Cameron.
Okay, that's fine.
I think and by the way, I would not want to play
right?
those 2 teams in the first round, even as a district champ.
Right.
Speaking of, let's go to 12-3. And this is it's unfair that these 2 districts are not in separate regions alone. They're in the first, they're the bi-district matchup. Columbus, Hitchcock, Hallettsville, Yoakum, and Hempstead. I've got Columbus. Hitchcock is the team that would not shock me if they win the region, but it also would not shock me if they got upset in the first round of the playoffs. They are just so inconsistent.
Right.
And part of the inconsistency is when you're playing a district schedule like this, and then you have to go right into your first playoff game, possibly playing a team that even at 3rd or 4th could win a region. It's tough, but I don't know. Columbus has that consistency that I'm not seeing from Hitchcock.
Yeah, I mean, Columbus wins this district. I think Columbus might be the best team in this whole division. Hitchcock, though, I think Hitchcock is going to be as good, if not better, than they were last year. And I think their line play is going to be a lot better. That's what, to me, killed them, right? I think they had a tendency to get pushed around at times. I mean, we saw that in Hitchcock against Columbus.
Well, we even saw it 2 years.
Columbus was moving them around.
We even
I
saw
think
it 2 years
Hitchcock
ago.
up front will be better than that.
Yeah, 2 years ago, we went to Bryan and we saw them against, was it Salado?
Salado, yeah.
And, they're just cruising along. And then all of a sudden, Salado's defensive line starts getting to Jones and he has a couple mistakes. And then, if you remember correctly, they kind of snatched a victory out of the jaws of defeat. Salado literally was 1 first down away, and I think they had a fumble or something. Yeah. And that's the thing. That's what Hitchcock does. Or like when we went down and saw them last year against Columbus, blood rival. They didn't play like it was blood rival. Yeah. Like they played, I don't want to say scared, but they didn't like getting hit. They got hit and they folded. They've got to figure that out.
Be a little bit different this year.
Now, in saying that, I don't want to play Hitchcock in the playoffs.
No,
I mean the athleticism and the when they want to be physical, absolutely scary.
All right, so I've got it: Columbus, Hitchcock, Hallettsville, Yoakum.
I have it: Columbus, Hitchcock, Yoakum, and Hallettsville.
Okay,
and that's just me just picking on faith. I didn't realize Tommy Brashear is now the head coach at Troy. I don't know why I forgot about that. Sorry, I was looking at the notes. Anyway, all right, let's go to 3A Division I and. Has Llano's reigning district come to an end? I mean, they're still going to make the playoffs, but it feels like the Rohawks, they're building something nice there.
Yeah. I think UC Randolph wins this district.
I do too.
I think it's Llano, Ingram Moore, and then Marion.
Yeah, I agree. All right, let's go to 3A Division I. And this is an interesting one. You got Jordanton, Hondo, Cole, who all of a sudden, and we talked a little bit about them last week, Cole has put together 3 nice, solid seasons. Then after that, I think to me, it's Jordanton and Hondo and everybody else.
Yeah. It's Jordanton 1, Hondo 2.
Dude, Hondo returns a lot offensively off of a 12 win. I'm sorry, what?
And then Cole and Lytle after that, I'm guessing.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I don't think Poteet or Crystal City are ready to. I mean, Poteet does return 20 starters. I mean, they didn't win last year, but hey, it's 20 starters.
Right.
All right, let's go to 3A Division I. Man, we are going through this quick. I love it. This is
another one of the number 1 and 2 are
way
top
ahead.
Dogs, and after that,
and I don't even know if it's 1 and 2, other than Goliad just seems to be a thorn in Edna's side.
Yeah.
I feel like that's I still think Edna should be the class of the district.
And it's so athletic,
And they're not just region athletic. We talked about that a couple years ago because I thought that was it until we saw them. And I'm like, oh no, they're just athletic. Yeah, they've had some bad matchups outside the region, but they're just athletic. And I think they're going to continue that. And I think Edna's going to go. So I have it Edna, Goliad. After that, man, I don't know. Mathis.
Orange Grove, then
CC London, Palacios.
Yeah, maybe London.
I mean, any of those.
Yeah.
Any of those could win it or win that last spot. I mean, all right, let's go to 16-3A Division 1. We're going to wrap up D1. Who do you have?
I've got, excuse me, San Diego, Rio Hondo, Lyford, and then Raymondville.
San Diego fits into that Edna and Goliad where you might beat them, but you're going to remember playing them because they're going to be physical.
Yeah,
and every year they pull off one upset. It always seems like it's 14-7.
Yeah.
But the problem with them is consistency on offense seems to hurt them. All right, that's 16-3A Division 1. All right, that's all 16 districts for 3A Division 1. Now let's talk region finals. It's the first time you've ever listened to the Big Arse or watched the Big Arse Preview Show. We don't pick every playoff round, but what we do is we pick the region championship, then the state semifinals, and then we give our state championship pick. All right, so Region 1, Mr. Goodwin, who do you have?
All right, I've got Region 1 coming down to Bushland and Sweetwater.
I have Sweetwater. It's Bushland and Paradise for me. And then, damn it, if you didn't bring up Jim Ned, and that's just sitting in my skull because as consistent as Brock was winning this region and making this region, their opponent in the region finals has always been a smorgasbord of, oh, wow, they got there, and then the year Jim Ned won state. And so, but I'm going to stick with Bushland and Sweetwater. But man, it would not shock me if it's, three. And this is, we do a Brock show. We're connected to Brock. We love Brock. I love Brock in 4A because it allows 3A Division 1 some really good programs to finally stretch their legs outside the region. And there's legitimately 5 teams that could win this region, but I'm going to stick with Bushland and Sweetwater.
Yeah, that'll be your Region 1 final, I believe. All right, Region 2, I think it comes down to the old matchup that just seems to entertain every time.
24-17, Malakoff versus Grandview.
Yes, Malakoff and Grandview.
Seriously, go look up the scores. It's
crazy.
crazy.
I think Jefferson and Winsboro have a shot at getting there to play against Malakoff, but I think at the end of the day, Grandview might be just a little bit too strong for either Jefferson or Winsboro. So I think it's Malakoff and Grandview in the Region 2 final.
See, I love how you carpet bomb that because you took one of mine. I have Malakoff versus Jefferson. You remember a few years ago they played, and the score was way closer than the actual game because Malakoff just basically said, we're not giving you the ball and kept it all game long. But yeah, I have Malakoff versus Jefferson.
Okay.
Malakoff, I said it before, Malakoff's just special, man. Like they finally got over that state championship hump. And I just think the world opens up to them about what they're about to do.
It's hard to think of a scenario where Malakoff could be better than last year, but they just might be.
It's just the fact that Mike Jones is a year older. That in alone makes them a better team.
Right. Yeah. All right. Let's go over to Region 3. And I think it's going to come down to Columbus and Franklin.
I've got Columbus and Little River Academy.
Do you?
Yep.
Okay.
I
think Franklin's going to beat the bejesus out of Academy.
They might in district.
Twice.
You and I am not as high on Frank. I mean, when I say
I'm not as high on Academy.
No, I get that. And it's deserved. Like I said, we're going to find out this year. They've been through a couple of quarterbacks over this cycle, but they've not really had it to where they've only got 4 on one side and 6 on the other. And when I say I'm not as high as Franklin, they're a top 4 team in the state. I just think there's some inconsistency that I've got to see if they fix before I can say, okay, they're going to win.
I mean, they made state final last year and then won it 2 years.
I know, but
in a row
the way they played last year was not normal Franklin football, and they've got to refigure that out.
I guess.
And
but
also,
I mean, they got to. They were within several plays of winning another state championship.
Yeah.
Last year, and I just think Academy's really going to have to strap those chin straps straps on really tight.
I mean,
when
Little
they
River
play
Academy
Franklin.
played them great last year. I mean, you're acting like
No,
I
know, but it's still
Oh, I know.
Academy's
You
the
tell
little brother trying to beat.
you can tell the this is flowing because
Yeah.
we're starting to have our fun debates. Either way, though, this is such a tough region. We're leaving out a Hitchcock who could easily be playing. That's what I love about this region is there's 4 teams that legitimately. But anyway,
And I don't think you can discount Teague either. I think
oh
Teague's,
no, I think Teague's that silent assassin if they
they're
can figure
dark
some
horse.
things out.
Yeah,
I
but
agree.
so I think it's Columbus versus Franklin in Region 3, and you think Columbus versus
versus
Academy.
yeah.
All right. Region 4, who you got?
Edna and Goliad.
Dang.
I mean, I think
You took
everybody has
mine.
that.
I don't know. UC Randolph could be in there.
Yeah, but I just, man,
I do think it's I
still
think
think it's-
Edna and Goliad are here, and everybody else in the region is there.
And now
Coming out of the same district,
yeah.
that's going to be great. I mean, that's a tough little district,
I
by the
kinda
way, with
wanna-
Orange Grove in there.
I kind of want
Mathis
to go
isn't
see
a
an
push-up.
Edna Goliad game this year because
Yeah,
that's one of the
might have
games
to.
that we'll be back in the hotel at 10 because they're not going to score a lot on each other.
Yeah.
And it's going to be played pretty quick. But anyway, all right. So who do you have in your region 1? You have we have the same one, don't we? Bushland and Sweetwater. Who do you have?
I've got Sweetwater winning Region 1, and who do you have? Sweetwater. Okay, so moving to Region 2, I've got it Malakoff versus Grandview, and I got Malakoff beating Grandview to take on Sweetwater for the state semifinals.
I have Malakoff beating Jefferson to take on Sweetwater in the state semifinals.
Okay, Region 3, I got Columbus taking on Franklin for the Region 3 championship, and I think Columbus will beat Franklin in the region finals.
I have Columbus beating Little River Academy in the region final.
They will take on the winner of Region 4, Edna versus Goliad, and I got Edna winning Region 4 over Goliad.
I'm going to go with Edna too, but I really want to pick Goliad because they're just such a thorn in Edna's side. But man, Edna is they've become the 2020s version of the 80s Cuero. They just roll that region. They're just until Goliad can do it twice, because they're going to have to, I think, this year, or at least once in the playoffs when it matters. I'm just going to go with Edna each time. All right, so we both have Malakoff versus Sweetwater. You know what this game's going to remind me of? And Malakoff's going to win it, but this is going to remind us of Pleasant Grove and Midland Greenwood a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I think Sweetwater's going to just match Malakoff very early in that game. It's going to be back and forth, but then Malakoff's going to get that 14-point lead and just never look back. It's going to be close, but I like Malakoff going back to the state championship.
I like Malakoff, and I think Malakoff will beat Sweetwater by at least 2 touchdowns
and that
to go to
wouldn't shock
state.
me either. That wouldn't shock me either.
All right, so we both have Malakoff making it to the state championship game to face the winner of Columbus and Edna, basically, is what we've said.
I've got Columbus.
I've got Columbus as well. So we both think it'll be Columbus versus Malakoff in the state championship game. Who do you got?
I have Columbus. I think it's going to be an all-time banger.
This is going to be quite possibly, if this game comes to fruition, will be one of the top 2 games of the state championships in all classifications that weekend.
We talked about it a little bit. It has a Franklin Canadian thing. And I think the thing that people don't understand about Columbus is a couple years ago, we saw them and it was like, man, they need to be more physical. And I know last year they didn't, they ended up losing in the playoffs to Lorena, but they were more physical last year. And they got to be a little bit grittier last year.
They're very physical.
That's what I'm saying. And they've learned each year, they've learned from the mistakes from last. They can't help that they got Lorena in the second round of the playoffs last year. That's just bad luck. But I think they've learned, or third round, I think they've learned from that. And I think, we got to talk about the transfer that, Ringdon coming from what
school? Benjamin.
Yeah, Benjamin. Do I think
Strawn, Benjamin, Columbus?
Do I think that he's going to come in and be like a class player of the year? No. Do I think he's going to add? One of the few weaknesses Columbus had offensively was they need to find a new running back. Do I think he adds to that? And you've also put him out in the slot. You also have him return kicks. You might even have him play a little defense. I think he's going to be the plug and play guy who stats might suffer, but he's going to be that one of those things that I think pushes.
Well,
Columbus
I mean,
over
he's
the top.
making a great team even better.
Yes.
That's the thing. A great team, even better.
Who do you have winning that game?
Man,
It's
I'm going to
tough.
I'm going to be going back and forth at this game. Does happen. I'm going to be going back and forth. Right now, I've got Malakoff in just a nail biter,
No problem with
a
that at all.
thriller
Close.
over Columbus. This game would be awesome.
This is so intern Noe the pro last year. He came in on the 4As, and of course the Anna Chapel Hill game, but he got to see Belleville Gilmer, which was very underrated just as a pure game. I've already decided if it's these two, he's coming for the 3A watching party because he needs. Because I mean, this Columbus and Malakoff are that's the type of game. If it turns out like we think it could be, you don't even have to know football, and you're just gonna be like, "Wow, this is intense. This is amazing. It's gonna be fun." And by the way, the 3A D1 state championships have been just the last few years.
Yeah, they have.
I mean, we can talk about the Brock and Franklin last year, Malakoff and Franklin. Anyway, so that is 3A Division 1. All right, Terry Bennett, Grant Goodwin back here, sideline to sideline, the 3A Big Arse Preview Show, as it says right there. And as you can tell on the screen, you can see our Twitter. You can find us at Grant and Terry. You can also find Coach X at Coach X Picks, and also our L4 Media at L4 Media Company. Coach X will be back. He's not, and we're going to call him a coach, even though he's taking a year off. Well, it was suggested by lawyers in the FBI that he takes a year off. So he took a year off. He's not been in a good headspace. I'm really worried about him. We'll be hearing from him.
Taking a lot of odd jobs and trying to make money really fast.
Yeah.
We've been collaborating though. So
that's the thing. That's what worries me is y'all have been collaborating.
I've got really good ideas.
Then why have you never used them on the show?
Funding. No, I mean, no ideas for money making things.
Why haven't you used those on the show?
What do you mean use them on the show?
Like, let's scale. I mean, let's get money from our listeners. Speaking of money from our listeners,
I'm going to let him raise the capital. So,
that's
yeah. I brought up a couple of weeks ago. Brought up the lawn care company / document shredding thing where we show up and you throw all your documents in the yard, we'll mow your yard, and we'll run over it all.
So
and bag it.
I was about to say you mulch it, you pick it up, and you take you mulch it, as they say.
Yeah, maybe we'll mulch it. We might just leave it out there as mulch,
white
and
mulch.
Not bag it.
You're gonna tell everybody it's snowing. Speaking of taking your money, check out our Patreon again, right there. The QR code. Just hit your phone if you want to go online and do traditional. It's patreon.com/L4 Media Company. All right, so we gave you our 3A Division 1 picks and the state champion. I think sometimes I don't care if we're right or wrong because we're making these picks because this is fun to do. I want that game. Nothing against any other 3A team in 3A Division 1, but Malakoff Columbus would just, oh man, that would be so great. All right, let's go 3A Division 2. Can anybody beat Gunter? We'll talk about that when we get there, but we're going to start where we always do, and that's with District 1, 3A. You got a good little team out there in Childress. No, you also got Canadian. Spearman's gone. They dropped, and we'll be talking about them in the next. I think people are forgetting that Spearman's now in 2A. But in this district, I know Childress, and we were just talking about this off the air. I think they're a really solid program. I think if they play Canadian in district and then play Canadian in the playoffs, they both would be like 45-10 or something. Canadian's just on a different level.
Yeah, they are. And Clay Kendall takes over at quarterback, right? After two really good classes of quarterbacks over the last 4 years. Now Kendall's turn. I think he's going to be, from what it sounds like, just they won't miss a
and this
beat,
is not
right?
a knock against the Cavaliers of the world. They're great quarterbacks, but let's be honest, Canadian system is built for quarterbacks. Like it just, some systems you can just drop a guy in and he's going to throw for 3,500 yards and 30 TDs. And that's not a knock.
It doesn't hurt that they have line play and coaches and the kids to execute the coaching in the line play that just proves to be a no-fail system for Canadian. And that's what's going to happen this year. Canadian's going to win this district, Childress second, and then maybe Freona third, and then Dimmitt fourth, I think.
All right, I'm fine with that. What's the next one?
District 2, 3A Division 2. And that has the likes of Muleshoe, Idalou, Roosevelt, Littlefield, and Slayton. I like Idalou and Muleshoe as the top two.
I like Idalou.
I think Muleshoe's going to be pretty good this year.
No, I do too, but I think Roosevelt's going to be pretty good this year. They kind of quietly last year surprised everybody and made a regional semifinal run. They do lose a lot. They have Nate Cesar, their quarterback, coming back. But yeah, I like Idalou and Muleshoe. I feel like both of them with the right draw could also make some noise in the region this year.
All right.
Oh, and then Littlefield. You're right. Littlefield
fourth.
All
okay.
right, 3A Division II. We've got Crane. We've got Alpine. We've got Odessa Compass Academy, and we've got Anthony. All make the playoffs. I think it's Crane. I don't want to say a big divide between Crane and Alpine. I think Alpine's going to be actually pretty solid this year, but I like Crane to win. Alpine does return everybody on offense, so that's going to be interesting. But give me Crane, give me Alpine, and then I guess Odessa and Anthony.
Yeah, I like the same thing.
All right, 3A Division II. Let's talk it. Now, I didn't even know this. You brought it up. Craig Slaughter, the old Glen Rose head coach, who's has been a coordinator at Wall for a long time now. He takes over after Guy retired. But you said there's been the quarterback's not going to play this year.
Yeah, Gunnar Dillard. Yeah,
he's going to stick to baseball.
He's a Oklahoma State commit, I believe, in baseball.
And they probably were quietly asking him. We won't make the decision for you, but we would be really, really happy if you ended up not.
Yeah. So, understandably, so that maybe takes a little bit of the shine off of Wall, who everybody's projecting. Dave Campbell's had Wall with a big year, and I still think they will have a big year, and they will win District 4. Then I think it's Cahoma and Merkel, and then I don't know about 3rd and 4th.
Yeah,
is it Grape Creek, Slayton?
Sure,
Slayton.
So the thing about, I think people forget
Stanton, not Slayton.
Craig Slaughter, he kind of is the one that started that at Glen Rose with the quarterbacks. He can develop, but it's just this happening so late. I mean, at least we are now. Maybe this might be one of those things.
Well, your quarterback at Wall is a little bit different than what your quarterback's got to do in Glen Rose.
But what I'm saying is I think Slaughter is bringing that spread, throw the ball to Wall. I think that's why it was so important. Now, to be fair, the coaching staff might have known since spring that he wasn't playing. We don't know when that communication was. So maybe they have a quarterback. I'm just saying, don't be surprised if Wall develops quicker than even losing him. But I do think it doesn't hurt their playoff chances at any, but it hurts their region. Like I had them as a region dark horse. And now, anyway. All right, let's go to 5-3A Division II. We got a new one in Toller. Yep. Eastland, Early, Clifton. This is a weird district. Brady and Dublin.
Toller, by far.
Even though I think
Peyton Brown,
yeah,
he's coming back. What he was a freshman last year.
I think he was a freshman or sophomore, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, and underclassman, right?
Yeah,
and racked up over 1,200 yards.
He got the benefit of injuries in front of him, but that helped develop Toller a year ahead with him now instead of him just now getting a lot of snaps.
Yeah, he might end up being special. I think sometimes a sophomore class tells what a class is going to be. And sometimes, when you got a sophomore that's like that, I just think he's going to be a household name in Class 3A before this is all over. So I've got Toller winning this district. Will it be easy? I don't know if it'll be easy. I think Eastland's going to be a little bit better than they were last year, quite a bit better.
Dude,
but still, I mean, they only won 3 or 4 games last year, Eastland did. So I think Toller is head and shoulders the favorite here. And then it's Eastland, Early, and I don't know, Brady.
I'll give it to Clifton.
Okay.
I miss when Clifton had that little run a few years ago.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to 3A Division II, and this is the interesting one.
Oh, this is a fun district here.
You got Holiday and Jacksboro in the same district the year after Jacksboro upset Holiday in the playoffs. Jacksboro loses a lot, but they return a really great wide receiver in Cannon Valenzuela. They're going to have to find a new quarterback, but inside this system, it's kind of, I think they'll be able to find a guy that might not be as good, but good enough. You've got, Wichita Falls City View, dude. Like, I know last year they struggled. They went, last year they struggled. I was looking at the wrong one. Where did they go? There they go. Last year they went 7-5. They struggled in that a lot of people thought they might be a region threat, and they kind of never found that consistency. But they're going to be the fastest, most athletic team in this district.
Yeah,
and in any given Friday, that still matters. But at the end of the day, I'm going Holiday. I'm going City View. I'm going Jacksboro, and then I'm going to go Henrietta. I'd love to say Millsap. We have a Millsap show, and I think Millsap's going to be really solid. But man, they're just in the worst district for them this year.
I'm going the exact same thing as you are. I thought I'd be a little bit different saying Holiday won over Jacksboro, but
To me, the bigger surprise, I think, for my pick is
City View.
Yeah,
over
I just think City View is very underrated. I want to call them a dark horse because I don't know what they do outside this district, but inside this district, I think they're going to surprise some people.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to 7-3A Division 2. This is easy. Gunner.
Yeah. Gunner
and
all
then
day
Gunner's
long.
JV team, and then Gunner. No, I like Gunner. I think the question I want to see is where's Bells at? You know, the last brother graduated. They actually had a very big senior class last year, even though they had lost so much talent the year before. So they're really kind of rebuilding now. Now, their system allows them to kind of plug and play to an extent, but I do think they take a big step. Is it big enough to where they lose second place?
I don't think so.
I don't think so, but don't be shocked if Leonard beats them. Leonard put together a damn good season last year, making the area finals. They started slow. They returned 7 on defense. They returned 5 on offense. But at the end of the day, I'm going to still go Gunter, Bells, Leonard, and Callisburg.
That's who I've got.
And I could see Callisburg upsetting Leonard. And I think Gunner and then 2 through 4 were all easily going to make the playoffs. We just don't know what the seeding's going to be.
Yeah. All right. District 8, I think, is all Scurry Rosser.
Is that because they're good, or is that because of the district?
I think they're good, and the district is not good.
I mean,
this is what it ends up. I mean, it's a mixture of both. I think Scurry Rosser is going to be really good. The one thing about the Wildcats is I always, just for some reason, just from experience watching Scurry Rosser on the few playoff games I've seen, and this year's a different year. I understand that, but their play in the trenches on both sides of the ball has always left me with a little bit more to be desired. And if they could get more physical, bigger, faster, and stronger up front on both sides of the ball, I think Scurry Rosser could be scary. I don't know if they're going to be quite that this year, but I do think they'll be good offensively. And then I don't think anybody else in this district's really going to push them. Maybe Blooming Grove and Rice. I
don't even know if that's a real push, you know.
Yeah.
Maybe if Scurry Rosser plays with their food in that game or something.
Yeah, maybe.
And it hurt. This is one of those where, and hey, again, I don't have the schedules in front of me. Maybe they're playing a tougher non-district schedule, but for me, for Scurry Rosser, they either need to toughen up their non-district or get the luck of being in a district that's actually competitive. Yeah, you're guaranteed a playoff with this district, but you're not learning anything about yourself.
Right.
And that's why they have the 11-1s instead of the 12-2s, you know, that kind of stuff. Anyway, let's move over to 9-3A Division 2, and we start hitting the edge of East Texas. We got Harmony, Edgewood, Grand Saline, Lone Oak, Quitman, Prairie Land, Chisholm. I mean, this is Harmony. I think Harmony is a good team. Yeah, we're coming off of that special class and everything, but again, this district, I don't see anybody staying within 3 touchdowns of them, dude.
Yeah.
Maybe Edgewood, because Edgewood is always are good for one of those. How the hell did they do that? Because they have a ton of athleticism. Their line play struggles, and they're very inconsistent. Harmony, though, I don't know. Just they're on a nice roll.
Yeah, I think it's Harmony, maybe Grand Saline, then Edgewood, and
I could see
Lone
that.
Oak.
I could see that.
Just kind of guessing.
You remember Joe Drennan was the head coach at Mineola, took them to a state championship and lost, and then won the state the year. Skipped a year and then came back.
Right.
You know, this is his second year at Grand Saline. He's got a ton back.
Yeah,
that's a good pick. I actually agree with you. And maybe Saline can give Harmony a game. I don't know. All right, let's go to 10-3A Division 2, and boy, the top 3, it's going to be fun. You got Dangerfield, you got Hooks, you got DeKalb, and then you got everybody else. I like it. Dangerfield, Hooks, and DeKalb, like I said it.
Yeah. I mean,
watch out for DeKalb, folks. They return everybody from a team that got better and better last year.
Yeah.
They end up going 8-3, and I don't think they're going to win the district, but I could see them beating Hooks. I mean, Hooks is good, but they've got some questions this year.
Well, they do, but defensively, Hooks should be. I mean, Hooks was pretty good defensively last year.
Yeah.
You know, they weren't stellar. I mean, they were just, they were great offensively. May not be as great offensively this year, though. I do think that Birdwell, the quarterback who stepped in early, and played the rest of the year is going to be special. If this is his breakout year, then Hooks could push for this district and even a spot in, say, a region final.
Yeah, and he's really good on
right
defense
now,
too.
all things being equal, Dangerfield is the class right now of this district of most of the region. I mean, there are a couple of teams that can push them for the region, but Dangerfield wins this district going away, and then I think Hooks with that defense, then DeKalb and New Boston, Queen City.
Give it to Kevin, New Boston.
There you go.
Dangerfield, again, barring injuries or something weird happening, the only way they even get close to losing in the district is if they're doing Dangerfield things and just playing with their food.
And I saw a Dangerfield team that grew up quite a bit.
It felt different last year,
except
dude.
for in the semifinals, there were times I'm thinking, what are you doing? But they didn't totally, excuse my language, shit the bed or anything. It's just they didn't make
the Tidehaven game?
Yeah, the Tidehaven game.
It felt like
they didn't shit the bed.
No.
They just didn't make the plays when they needed to make them. And they had been doing that all year long, right? And, they made some mistakes. I don't want to, they did not give that game away. And
I agree. And Joseph Dodd made some key plays, and then that wide
receiver. They just lost to a better team. Tidehaven wasn't necessarily the better team.
They lost to an even team, I think.
Yes. And so I think Dangerfield they grew up a lot last year, and that should put 3A Division II on notice.
As long as they carry it over.
Because a grown-up Dangerfield is unbeatable. And I'm
look at the
state
state championship years. Those are the grown-up Dangerfield.
I mean, they got dudes, man. I mean, they're going to be the most athletic team in 3A Division II. When it comes down to just 11 through 11, they're going to be the most athletic team, right?
Yep, I agree 100%, dude.
If they grow up, and it looks like they took a step forward to growing up, there's the sky's the limit for Dangerfield. So, yeah, I think Dangerfield wins this one. All right, 11 3A Division II, one of my favorite teams, New Diana.
Yeah, you are big on the Eagles. I love it, dude.
On New Diana this year. I know you kind of told me to temper it a little bit because of what they do, and I understand that, but I think athletically, I just don't see anybody being able to hang with them in this district.
No, West Rusk, hey, they have really turned into a solid program to where
a perennial.
Yeah, like 3 games deep in the playoffs is their norm. And so maybe they finally break through, but man, they lose a lot. And the reason why I agree with you about New Diana, the difference is the last time New Diana had that, I think they made it all the way to like the region final or something.
Maybe, yeah.
Is they return everybody this time. They've got 17 returning starters. They got Jason Pitts, their head coach. I think New Diana is one of those teams that if they're playing in the region final, people will be like, what? Watch and listen to us. We're telling you, there's a real good chance that they could.
They're going to be scary.
It's a tough region, so you got that to deal with. But yeah, I like New Diana. I like West Rusk. And I love the fact that we've got ARP and Troop battling for a playoff spot.
And ARP returns the house, right?
Oh, yeah, they
Pretty
do.
much.
That's right. And
so I like ARP to beat Troop for that. The 3rd spot, and then Troop obviously getting the 4th spot. But what a battle that will be for 3rd and 4th that I think, who knows? Maybe they're battling for 2nd and 3rd.
And nobody, unless you've been watching, 3A, 2A football for a long time, people forget there was a time when you brought up the best rivalries in small ball, it was Troop and ARP was top 5.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been to multiple ones, and it's same colors, same mascot, everything about it. It's like, and it's a hate, but it's a respectful hate. It's fun.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that it could mean something this year. All right, let's go to 12 3A Division II. I have a guy that has emailed my email. You can email the show, Grant and Terry at S2S Sport, or you can email me, Terry at S2S Sport, both of those.com. And he swears up and down that this is the year that Woodville will beat Newton. I just wanted to pass that out.
Okay.
I think in this district, Woodville has the best chance to beat Newton, but I don't think they beat Newton.
No, Newton. I think Newton might be special this year. I mean, they've got one of the best running backs in 3A Division II coming back, who's still young. I think
Kendra Porter.
Yeah, I mean he'll be a sophomore or junior this year.
Oh, I don't remember.
Maybe he's a sophomore. I can't remember. And then they just return the house. They're fast. I think they're going to be pretty physical this year. I think Newton's somebody you got to watch out for. They might end up in Arlington. I mean,
I need to,
Newton's going to be
I,
that darn good.
and I'm sorry, I can't remember who it was, but I need to see it because I really was buying that last year, and then they get beat in the second round.
Yeah.
And I can't remember who beat him. I think it was somebody good. Sorry, I'm top of my head. But anyway, I don't disagree with any of that. Now, I will say,
I think Woodville does.
I think Woodville's going to
second.
have a nice run in the playoffs too. That defense this year. Now they're going to have to figure out the offense, but that's kind of, that's what Woodville
but
does.
they still got Zion Williams.
Yeah, but I mean,
back at running back,
great running back.
I mean, that guy's going to put up a lot of yards.
But at times their offense gets stagnant, but their defense is so good. And I will say this, and I know you'll agree about this.
What Woodville needs is Coach Robinson just throw the old Bill Parcells at them, running in defense. That's it.
And the great thing you can say about them is they're not going to. Woodville will not be afraid to play Newton. Woodville plays the Franklins. I mean,
they're mashers, man.
Yeah, and that will be a physical game. But yeah, I think it's Newton. I think it's Woodville. Give me New Waverly and
Shiro, man. No, I think Shiro's going to push everybody for second.
They do return. I didn't realize they returned somebody on offense.
Yeah,
Holy crap.
I mean, and they were really good last year. I think Shiro and Woodville are going to be battling for that second spot, and then New Waverly takes the fourth.
All right, now let's go over to
13.
Wow, we're already almost. Dude, we're getting into this. We've never been this efficient, folks. This is scary.
Not on the Big Arse Preview Show.
No, it's actually been kind of nice. All right, let's go to 13 3A Division 2, and this is going to be. I think you even said it last week. This is an underrated district.
It is, but I mean, dude, when you got Lexington bringing back the house with Case Evans, one of the best quarterbacks in all of 3A, I'm dude. Right now, I'm looking at Lexington. Lexington, they are the big X factor in this region, right? I mean, their offense is going to put up tons of points. I think at times they got hurt defensively over the last 2 years. I think they're growing up a lot like Dangerfield had grown up. I think Lexington this year is going to grow up. And let me tell you, Coach Mull has a squad here in the Eagles that could end up in Arlington. They really could. They're that good. That would be considered a dark horse, right? And they're 25-1 odds. If we went to the casino right now, you would put 25-1 to 30-1 odds on Lexington on a state championship, maybe even 40-1. But that's a value bet right there.
No, I agree. And I mean, this whole district has you've got Rogers returning 11. You've got Thrall coming up from 2A. They're returning 14. You've got Comfort, who, had the big run a couple years ago. And then last year quietly went to the area finals. Mm-hmm. They return 8 on defense, 13 total, and they're picked last. I don't think they're last. I think they make the playoffs. I don't know who I kick out. Maybe Thrall. I do think there's going to be an adjustment coming up from 2A Division 1, but they're still loaded. But at the end of the day, I've got Lexington.
I'm pretty locked in with Lexington on one, obviously. I think, again, Lexington could end up playing for a state championship this year. I really think that's how good they have a chance to be. And then I'm pretty set on Blanco being number 2.
I think Blanco could be a thorn in the side in this region.
They've got to replace a lot on defense, but they return a lot of their offensive line. They return a really good tight end in Matthew Rodriguez. I think Lexington beats them in district, but they're going to earn it. It's not going to be a 28-0. I kind of see Lexington just almost naming their score, dude.
Well, I like Lexington, but I'm nowhere near as sold as you are on them. As far as that part, I mean, I'm sold on them being a region threat. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
but I don't know.
Maybe I'm over talking Lexington.
I don't think so, dude. You usually lock in, you're good.
Yeah, I think Lexington might be that team this year. All right, let's go down to District 14, 3A Division 2, where this is a juicy district as well, man.
God,
Tidehaven, Vanderbilt Industrial, East Bernard, Bowling, Van Vleck, Rice Consolidated, Brazos. Who do you like in this one?
I know it's real easy to say, Tidehaven lost their guy. That was their fun little run. But I mean, Tidehaven's, been a solid program and consistently competitive, and I think David Lucio just continues that this year. You got Kel Russell back at quarterback. I think you have, you're going to have to figure out the dot and find that guy, but it might not be one guy. It might be three guys.
Right.
And again, we talk about this all the time.
Like a
Sometimes,
MIDI.
and sometimes your offense gets better, and I'm not saying anybody's better than Dodd, but you know what I mean?
Right.
I think East Bernard is back. I think Jeremy Jenkins running the ship there. I think you're seeing them actually finally commit to the spread 100%. That doesn't mean they're going to stop running or anything like that. But I think last year they were trying to toe that line, or 2 years. Was it last year? It was last year we did the show, wasn't it? And trying to toe that line, and you kind of got where they weren't consistent. Oh, and then by the way, you've got an industrial team that everybody thought 3 years ago they were done. They're still around. They're still competitive. This is a fun district, man.
Yeah.
And then you've got Bowling, who you were talking about in the Dark Horse show. Like, you're really high on them, and you should be. They've got everybody coming back.
Yeah. So I've got 14 3A Division II coming down. Tidehaven 1, Bowling 2, actually, East Bernard 3, and then Vanderbilt Industrial 4.
Just switch Bernard and Bowling for me. I still think East Bernard's second.
Yeah.
And in all four of these teams, I'm trying to figure out, they're going to – oh, no, they have to go – oh, man, that first round between the whoever the fourth out of 13 and out of 14 will be fun.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I agree as far as Bowling. I'm glad that you keep remembering that. All right, let's go to 15 3A Division II. How do you see this one?
Poth and then everybody else. I think Poth wins this one going away, and then maybe Dilly 2, Catula 3, and then, who I don't even know.
YMLA.
Okay, there you go.
Go for it. All right.
Young man.
Oh, man, I knew that was coming. 16 3A Division II as we wrap up 3A Division II and our last
Odom,
3A.
always Odom, sometimes Taft, every once in a while Hebronville. This year, Odom, Taft, Santa Rosa, Hebronville.
All right, that's perfect. All right, Terry Bennett, Grant Goodwin back here on the Neuro Plus Guard, Mouth Guard, Sideline to Sideline, Class 3A. Now Division II picks. We gave our 3A Division I state champions. We now do the same thing for 3A Division II. We start at the region finals. We go to the semifinals. We go to the state championship. Let's start out in Region 1. Who do you have and why?
So I've got it Canadian versus Wall.
So you still like at least Wall to get through?
I do.
Even, I don't disagree
I think
at all.
Idalou and Muleshoe have a shot at making the region final, but I think it's going to be Canadian and Wall, even with Gunnar Dillard not playing this year for Wall. I think Wall has somebody to plug in and run that offense. So, yeah, I think it's Canadian Wall for Region 1.
I think it's Canadian Muleshoe, and I'm literally going to use what you said. I think Muleshoe now has one of the best, most experienced quarterbacks in Nathan Martins, and I do think for Wall deep into the playoffs, that will be an issue. Good. Now, I will say this, though. If Craig Slaughter stays there, I think Wall's going to be back to where Wall was, but in a different way, because they're going to – offense will be more, explosive. Yeah. But Wall's going to be here for a while, I think. And we're glad to have him back. I miss going out to see them play. But, yeah, I have it Canadian versus Muleshoe. I have Canadian winning. Well, wait, we don't do that yet. Sorry. All right, Region 2. This one's pretty tough, I know.
Yeah.
What upstart team barely wins Region 2? No, Gunner, and I don't care who they play, names their score.
So I think it's going to be Gunner and Holiday.
I do too.
For the Region 2 final. And I don't know, maybe Jacksboro, but I really think it's Gunner Holiday.
Yep, I agree. Region 3.
All right. Kind of a no-brainer, obviously, to me. I
agree.
Maybe New Diana could get in there, right?
I keep wanting to put them in there, and I agree with you. I think they're going to be good, but I mean, it's a different. Again, if Dangerfield is playing Dangerfield ball, it's a different level. If Newton is playing Newton ball, it's just a different level.
Those
for New
two
Diana.
are head and shoulders above everybody else.
They
and then
should
there's
be.
New Diana underneath.
Now they should be. Now, not so much Newton. Dangerfield, I could easily see pulling a 6-4 record just because that's what they can do sometimes. But I don't think it happens.
No, I think it's Dangerfield and Newton playing for the Region 3 final.
All right, and then Region 4?
I've got Poth and Lexington.
Yeah, I was trying to be contrarian because I kind of figured you'd go there. I think Dave Campbell's went there. It's just they seem to be, head and shoulders above. I don't see anybody. Now bowling, maybe.
Maybe, yeah.
I mean, they
Or
have the
Tidehaven
athleticism.
could be in there.
I do
right?
think the difference in Tidehaven is and now again, if they find another dot, it doesn't even have to be another dot. If it's just somebody that's close to his level, then yeah. But I do think
But
yeah, exactly.
going to find somebody
I
close.
think
He's a special player.
Yeah,
there's,
and
there's a reason he's in Lubbock.
Is it? I can't remember if it was Oklahoma or Tech. I think it is Tech. I think you're right.
I think
it's Tech. But yeah, I could see bowling doing it. They have a ton back. They have a really good quarterback. But it's been a while where Lexington, and for them, it's stay healthy. That seems to be the thing that's hurt them. That seems to be the thing that's kept them from achieving a little bit higher.
For Lexington. Yeah. I expect great things from Lexington.
So who wins the semifinals?
All right, semifinals got Canadian and Gunner. Wow, has that game ever been played?
And we were just talking about
where will that game be played?
Abilene. No,
Anthony Field.
Yeah, it's Andy. I can think of that.
I mean, it's a great setting for that game every year.
But this game is in danger of not being fun anymore. And Canadians, I'm not rooting for them as far as I want Canadian to beat Gunner, but a rivalry is only a rivalry as long as it's competitive. And we're starting to get to where.
Well, the year before last, it was nip and tuck in the fog. Gunner came out on top in the last minute. Last year was a little bit more Gunner one-sided.
Well, and the scary thing is I don't think Gunner played the best game 2 years ago and still won.
Well, yeah, there's a consensus, and I might be one of them, that Canadian controlled that game.
That's what I'm saying. But yet Gunner won.
Right.
That's scary in a rivalry because
they made the plays.
Yes, when they needed to.
They needed to, yes.
But that's scary in a rivalry because when you start beating the team when you probably shouldn't beat them, that means you're starting to take control of the rivalry.
Right.
I think it's a closer game this year. But I still, until Gunner gets beat in that game, I'm going
totally
with Gunner.
agree. Yeah. Totally agree. All right, so we think Gunner winning that side of it, and they will make it to the state championship game. Who will they play? Dangerfield Newton. I've got Dangerfield beating Newton.
I do too.
To play, I think Lexington Poth, and I think Lexington wins that one. I think Lexington wins Region 4, Terry.
Yes,
So I think it'll be Dangerfield versus Lexington in the other semifinal.
All right, and I have Dangerfield winning.
I have Dangerfield beating Lexington in the semifinals as well, setting up a Dangerfield Gunter state
We both
final.
agree on this. It's scary. We both agree on the 3As. I just realized that 3A Division 1 and 3A Division.
What a game this would be.
We're going to disagree on the pick, though. I've got Dangerfield.
I've got Gunner.
I think it's going to be just like Columbus Malakoff. Holy crap, watch out. I do think there's always with Dangerfield, if Gunner could run them out of the stadium if things break wrong early. But I'm like you, dude. This just feels different with Dangerfield. Something feels different.
The coaching staff's got them focused.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Focused for 16 weeks. Maybe they were a little unfocused at times against Tidehaven. But they were still in it.
And let's remember, Tidehaven was on that stretch where they were just finding ways to pull out games at that point.
Yeah,
it was magical.
Absolutely.
And I think, I think this is going to be a classic game. We always hope the state championships are. And if the 4As, and go listen to our 4A show, if the 4As and 3As play out like we think they will, we're going to have some really special games. And it's so cyclical. We've had a couple years where it's like, okay, I'm kind of ready for the games to be over. Last year was a little bit of both. I thought there was some really good games in the middle. And then, but I think that these, especially 3A, I think whoever wins D1 and D2, they always earn it. But you know what I mean? They're going to have to beat a Titan, or some of these like Region 3 and Division 1, they're going to have to beat 2 or 3 Titans in a row. And sometimes that's why Malakoff might win. Not that Malakoff's in a good region, but man, I think you can make the case that Franklin got to that state championship last year, just beat all the hell up. Maybe not with missing starters, but just guys who are just we've been doing this for 22 weeks. We're tired. You know?
Well, Franklin's played a lot of games over the last
4
few years.
straight state championship games?
They also, the last 2 years, have been playing in arguably the toughest region, where after round 1 in the playoffs, it was show up. You just show up uninspired and not bringing your A game, you're going to get beat. So that's not just physically exhausting, that's mentally exhausting. You're asking 15, 16, and 17-year-olds to play their best games every week in the playoffs, and
while
that's just
also
hard to
maintaining their grades, while also
Right.
having a social life, and for a lot of them, especially in the smaller towns, also having a side job.
do. Yeah, absolutely.
You know, that's that kind of stuff where we forget
who
that.
can weather when you're a good enough team to put your name in that pot. We're one of the 4 teams that can win a state championship. A lot of times it doesn't come down to talent. It's who can handle weather the storm and handle all the other things that you've got to handle and still maintain your focus between the hashes when the game starts.
And you know, I know we all were young, but you forget so much. And I saw it the couple years I coached, and I thought it was kind of okay, really, but man, these guys, the hormones, the breakups, I still remember we're about to go into a playoff game, and our starting, who was
My whole life is hormones and breakup to this day.
we're just waiting on this next one to end. Oh, we're sad. But I remember, you know, where I coached was terrible, but we made the playoffs, and one of our actually really good players, we had to talk him into the playoff game because his girlfriend broke up with him. He didn't want to play.
Yeah.
I mean, you just don't know what's going on with these kids. That's why it's fun to follow it, because you just never know. But anyway, want to remind everybody you can find us on YouTube. Go to youtube.com/@L4 Media Company. Like and subscribe there. Also, we get so many comments on our Facebook pages and and when we post these on the message boards, and we appreciate it. Move some of those comments, please, over to the YouTube, because it helps us with YouTube. It's not just the numbers, and we love the numbers. Holy crap, our last show, 15,000 for a show that covers 4A, 3A, and 2A football. Amazing. But if we can get more interactions on YouTube, that also helps us get better brand deals, better recognition, puts us in the algorithm more. So please keep commentating, but also do it over on YouTube. Other than that, man, 3A's in the books. We'll be back in about a month. Again, we're recording this really early, so technically when you're hearing this, we'll be back in 2 weeks. But anyway, we'll see you week 2 of the season. He's Grant, I'm Terry, and this has been the Class 3A Big Arse Preview Show on L4 Media.